Welcome to Digital Academy. Today we're gonna create a house cage. Let's start this lesson by creating a polygon cube and apply a modification by scaling tool. You can head into scaling tool by pressing R on keyboard. You can use the shortcut to apply fast work. Use the shortcut R on keyboard for scale, or Q and W and E for select, move, and scale. You can apply new material by right-click and holding down to assign a new material. Choose it from the sides. And let's say I will apply a polygon cube and scale it, move it up. You can choose scaling tool and navigate around inside the scene by pressing Alt on keyboard and left mouse click to navigate around. I will scale it up. You can scale it at different angles, like from the right, from the left, or you can increase its size from the middle. Then you choose the moving tool by pressing W on keyboard to move. I will move it to the side, move it to this right side. I will scale it up. Also, you can navigate around by banning right, holding Alt on keyboard and middle mouse click to ban to the right, to the left. I will assign a new material. Let's say I will choose this one. Assign new material by selecting the object and right mouse click and holding to heading to menu, right click, and then apply duplication by pressing Ctrl and D. If you want to add duplication with the movement, just select the object and press Shift and D. Apply modification of the location, then press Shift and D. It will apply a copy and the motion you have applied. You can apply any motion like scaling, moving, and rotation by Shift and D. Just select any object. Let's say I need to rotate them together. I will combine them by holding Shift and choosing Combine. Holding Shift and right mouse click, it apply a selection of a different tools like combining, separate. Let's say I will move them to the sides. You can combine to apply modification like rotation as a whole and selection and duplication. Let's say I will duplicate them. I will make copy by pressing Shift on keyboard. Any object you've selected, you can press Shift on keyboard and hold it, then moving by moving tool, it will apply a new copy. I will select them together and dragging them by holding Shift on keyboard, or you can press Ctrl and D to make a duplication. If you want this tool, just press Shift while holding right mouse click. Then I will heading a new material. I will apply a different material. Let's say I will choose this one. Changing the material from attribute editor on the right side menus. Let's say I will choose this one. I will select this one, apply a new material. Right mouse, hold in right mouse and assign a new material. You can apply any different material. It's like for demonstration only. Let's say I need to apply a different one for this shape. I make a copy by duplication by pressing Ctrl and D. Or you can holding down Shift on keyboard and move it up. So you made a copy of the last object you have selected. Then right mouse click and holding to assign a new material. Let's say I will choose Lambert material and change to a different color. Let's say I will choose this one, change it. I navigate around by holding Alt on keyboard and left mouse click. Then I will create a new cube, polygon cube. It will appear in the 0 point at the middle of the scene. Then you move it, scale it, and move it up. Let's say I will create it as this side. I need to create a new part for the ladder, so I make it to this side. You can apply a precise location and precise movement by holding press space bar on the keyboard. I will make this copy and pressing Ctrl and D to make a copy, or holding down Shift. You can rotate it and head into channel box to make a precise rotation. Let's say I want to rotate it at the Y dimension. Just press left mouse and apply the new value. I will make a copy by pressing Ctrl and D and moving by moving tool pressing W on keyboard. Then you can navigate around inside the scene by holding Alt on the keyboard. If you want to see the scene at a different overview, just press spacebar and spacebar again to see the different perspective view, frontal view or top view to apply a precise location for any object you've created. Then I duplicate it by Ctrl and D and rotate it. You can see different rotation from different line angles. This angle I have rotation like rotation X and Y and Z. You can move it down, move it to the side. You can scale it to increase its size. This lesson is like for demonstration. You can apply any object, you can apply any modification for the ladder you want to create. It's like sampling to using different tool, different material, different object, apply different modification to be familiar with the tools and its using. Let's say I will create a new polygon cube. I will move it and scale it. Let's move it down to this point to this side. I press F on keyboard. Just holding press F on keyboard, it's like framing the object, framing the scene you are creating around the object you've selected. Press F on keyboard. Then I will move it and scale it down. Then if you are satisfied with its location, just holding down shift on keyboard and move it to the side. If you're holding down shift while moving, it apply a duplication copy with motion. Then press shift and D again, it apply a duplication with motion. Automatic application of the motion. It's the same copy you are selecting and the same motion you have last applied. Then I want to select the last one and apply a different modification. Let's say I will select them together and decrease its size. Let's move them down. It's like the sides of the ladder. You can rotate any part by selecting and selecting rotation tool by pressing E on keyboard. You can use the shortcuts. Or you can use the tools from the left side menus. Like select, move and rotate. Let's say I make some rotation, some movement. I will rotate and navigate around by pressing Alt on a keyboard and right and left mouse click. Left mouse click, navigate around. Right mouse click, it's like scrolling to the anterior and posterior part. Let's say I want to make some modification. I make a copy by pressing Shift and rotate. Let's make a copy by rotation. Also you can scale it, or you can press Ctrl and D to make a stationary copy and then move in and apply the modification of rotation and scaling. I will select this part and move it to this point. I will move it again to this part. I need to apply some modification of scaling to increase its thickness. Let's say I want to create this part at this point. I will select it and scale it. You can change the anchor point by pressing D on keyboard. Then change the anchor point, it apply modification at the center. It's like the center of the object. When you increase the thickness of the object, it increased from the center. You can change the center by holding D on keyboard, change its size and holding D again to save the position of the anchor point. Anchor point is like the middle of the object you can create. It is the center you create and apply scaling and rotation. Let's say I will apply some scaling motion. I'll select this one. Apply some scaling motion, some movement by moving tool. You can navigate around by different tools by pressing shortcuts Q, W and E and R for selection, movement, rotation and scaling. Most tools you are using are scaling and moving tool. It's like W and R. I make a copy by pressing Ctrl and D, or you can hold Shift on keyboard and make a motion. I navigate around by holding Alt on keyboard and left mouse click. Let's say I make a ladder and another copy. Just make your motion at this point. Let's say I want to move it to this point and press Shift and D to make a new copy with the motion. Let's move it up a little and move it back and press Shift and D again. Each time you press Shift and D, it's make a copy, the same copy with the same motion you have applied. You need to navigate around by holding Alt to see the modification of the scene. It's like a 3 different dimensions. I recommend using the top view to create any object and to apply modification. Just press spacebar to heading to the top view to apply a precise location of any object. Just pressing spacebar to allow you to choose from different views like perspective, frontal, sides, and the top view. You can return back by pressing spacebar on keyboard. And just move the mouse around the view you want to apply and just press spacebar again. I will move it to this side view. You can apply 2 dimensions at each time you create an object. It's like frontal view and the top view. You can see I make a precise motion, a precise location, that I used 2 different views. A different from perspective view, because perspective view allow you to see the 3 different dimensions, but you can make a precise motion and a precise location. Let's make some scaling for this part. I will make some rotation. I will move it to this side. I navigate around, make some rotation, and head into the channel box and apply a precise rotation, let's say 90 degrees. Then I move it down. Let's delete this one and select this one and delete it. I don't need them, so you can delete it by backspace button. Then I will move it to this side. I navigate around by holding Alt on keyboard. Then you can select this parts and make a duplication by holding Shift, or you can press Ctrl and D on keyboard. Then I navigate around. You can navigate away by scrolling by rolling the mouse. You can drag and select them together to make a copy of them. Just Ctrl and D to make the copy. You can see it moved from a different direction because any object you've selected are away from the other one. You can combine them first by holding Shift and choosing Combine. Holding Shift and right mouse click and holding and heading to Combine tool. Combine allow you to make any objects together as a whole unit. Then you can move it a precise motion. If you select them while they are separate, it moves from away direction, different away direction. But if you select them and holding combine, it moves as a one unit. Then I will move it to the side, make some rotation, make a copy by pressing Ctrl and D, and make a precise rotation by heading to the channel box. You make another copy. I'll move it to the side, and you can scale it. Apply some modification of the size. I'll move to this side. Let's move it up, move it away. You can apply any different shape you want. You can apply any different modification and duplication by Ctrl and D. Let's say I want to make 2 different ladders. Let's apply some duplication. Let's make a rotation of 90 degrees. Let's move it down to the sides. You can navigate around by different tools and different scenes. You can just press spacebar to make a scene from the different perspective view, side view, top view, frontal view. to make a precise motion. I head into the last perspective view by pressing spacebar and heading with the mouse to the perspective view and pressing spacebar again, so you return back to the perspective view. Then you can apply modification of rotation at the 3 different dimensions. Let's say I want a precise rotation. From the channel box, just left mouse click and type in the value you want to apply the rotation. You can see it's very hard to make a precise motion from the perspective view. So many times you will need to hit in the spacebar and getting to the side view or top view to make a precise motion and a precise location. Let's delete them by pressing back spacebar on the keyboard. You can navigate around by holding Alt and make any copy of any object you want. You can head into separate to make a separate parts. If I want to make a modification of any separate part, I will rotate it and make a copy by rotation by holding shift, or you can press Ctrl and D and make your rotation. Then I move it to the side. I need to scale it a little, move it up. I will scale it. I navigate around by holding Alt and the left mouse click. You can select this polygon cube and move it down. Scale it to the sides. You don't need to listen to the full lesson. It's like demonstration for using the tools. I just need to create an object just using different tools like motion, rotation, scaling, duplication. It's like a training of how to use different material, different sets on different views. It's like training of using the material on a different views and creating a different objects. It's like a general overview of how to create a normal poly modeling and a normal modification. I will increase the size. But the main point is to create an object and make it clear modification. Let's say I will choose this one and scale it and move it to the side. Let's make this object increase its size. Move it to the side. I will scale it up. I can navigate around. I press holding separate to make an object separate and make a center pivot. Center pivot is like the middle of the object. When you combine any object together, it changes the pivot to the center of the 3 objects. If you want to return it back, just press a middle, a central pivot from the top menu. Then I will scale it, any object. At the end, you can combine them together by holding selection, and after selection, holding down shift and right mouse button and click on combine. I will select this one. Let's say I need to combine them together. I just drag it by mouse. When you move it, it moved away. So you need to select them all and then head into combine. Then if you move it, it moves as a 1 unit. I just need to make a copy. Let's move it up. Select this one and make some scaling. I will increase them. I will move them to the side. Increase the scaling. You can apply different modification, scaling, movement, or you can select each one alone and then apply modification of the scaling, or you can navigate around and apply some different modification. Let's say I need to choose the scaling tool. You can see different poly modeling you can apply. You can duplicate any object you've created. Let's say I want to duplicate this ladder. I navigate around by holding Alt, and you can select them by holding down Shift on keyboard. Then choose Central Pivot. I scale them. Central Pivot because I combine them together, and then I apply separate. So the pivot isn't at the center. So you need to make a central pivot. So I press the central pivot button on the tool menu. You can rotate it and scale it and move it to apply another modification. Let's rotate it precisely at the channel box at 90 degrees. Let's say I want to move it to the sides. Let's say I need to move it to make a cross match with the cage. I will select them all. If you move them, it moves away. So you need to combine them before any movement you want to apply. I just holding down Shift and right mouse click and then hidden combine. Then you can apply any movement you want to apply. If you want to frame the object you've selected, just press F on keyboard to frame the scene at the selected object. Just select the object and press F on keyboard to frame it. You can make separate parts by holding Shift and right mouse click and hidden to separate to make modification of any subcomponent part you have applied, and then hidden to central pivot to make the center of the object at any point you want to add. When you combine shapes together, it makes a central pivot at the center of the 3 or 4 objects you have selected. Then if you make a separate parts, you need to return back to central pivot. Then you can navigate around the scene and apply different modification. You create your own ladder, your own cage, your own house. It's like this training is for how to use different tool, how to apply different modification while creating an object and a poly model together. Let's say I need to apply some rotation movement, some scaling, some duplication, central pivot, and combine shapes together. I will create a new polygon cube and increase its size. Let's say I need to point it at this point. Make it bigger, make it smaller. It's just for demonstration. I just move it to this side, to this point. It's like I need to make a house beside the cage. Let's move it to this side, make a duplication by Ctrl and D. I made a copy by Ctrl and D, or you can select it and move it. Then I select the edges, then apply some modification to the edge I have selected. This one I have deleted. If the modification didn't make the change I want to apply, then I return back by Ctrl and Z. Then I choose another edges by selecting the edge on the edge mode, then apply a different modification. Let's go back by hitting Ctrl and Z and select this edge and move it to the side, and select the other one and move it to the other side. Then I make the roof of the house. I select the edges and apply modification of any edge I have selected. Also, you can select any faces or the whole object, or you can apply modification to the vertex. Let's say I will create another polygon cube and move it to the side. Let's increase its size. Let's make it to the top and make it to this point. Then I will create another polygon cube and increase its size. Let's make a window. Let's move it to the side. Let's scale it to the point I want to scale. At this point, I will select a different material. I will assign a new material to be able to differentiate it. Then after applying a new material, I need to apply a different material to the roof and to the window. Let's scale it a little. Select this window. Make a copy by duplication, Ctrl and D, or just holding down Shift on keyboard. Then I select object together and make it a combine. Then I will use a new tool. It's a boolean tool. Boolean allows you to subtract object. And then head into clear history. Clear history to save the modification I have applied. You create a polygon cube, select them together and combine them to make them as a one object, and then select the house, select the object, and using boolean tool to subtract the object to make the window. Then head into the file menu. I will save it.